Hello again, Messy Church. Before we had to stay at home, I was going to bring some clay to Messy Church and let you make some clay animals. So I'm going to tell you on this little video how you can have a go at home. We read right at the beginning of the Bible that God created everything on the earth and said, "Let the earth produce all kinds of animals." God asked man to look after all the animals and grow plants for food for them and us. The next chapter in Genesis says God took some soil from the earth and out of the ground he formed a man. And it rather looks as though he took a piece of clay like this and modelled it into a man. And then he breathed life into the man and he became a living person. And God made him with his breath like himself. Isaiah says, "You are our Father, Lord, and we are like clay, and you are like the potter. You created us." So there's a lot about pottery and clay in the Bible. Now you know how that God made us and how he made all the different kinds of animals. God had lots of amazing ideas to make. And we, as we're like God, like to make things too. So, if you'd like to make some Play-Doh at home from a recipe on the church Facebook site, you could use that to make the model of your animal. Or, I will bring some clay in little bags up to Sarah Jane's home at the Rectory on the street, and you can collect it from there. And then if you bring it back to her house in a box or a polythene bag with your name on it, most important so I don't muddle it up, then I'll collect it and put it in my kiln. And if any of you live in Sullington, there's some instructions also on Facebook, and my address is there. You can bring them. Now this is a picture of my kiln, and you can see there are some pots inside of that, and I'll fire them for you in the kiln. And when they come out, instead of being all soft and pliable, they'll be hard like rock, and then we can glaze them or paint them. So I'll probably give you about 2 weeks to do this. So and then I'll dry them out and fire them. So now I'm going to show you how to make a model. God made some really weird and wonderful creatures. And if you prefer, you can make up your own weird and wonderful creature too. I've got some pictures here of animals that are easy to make, and also some models that my grandchildren have made. That was my cat, made by one of my grandchildren, and that is a grandson's dog. Now they're more complicated than I'm expecting you to make, but if you've got any older brothers or sisters, if they want to have a go with the clay, then they're very welcome. Right, so there's the some ideas, and I'll put that in the box with the clay so you can have another look at it. Right, so let's start the model. Now you just take the piece of clay out the bag, and you want to make the basic shape. Now, as I said, I'm making the hippopotamus, so I'm just sort of modelling the body, a big fat body, and a shape. And the head will sort of be moulded out of the lump of clay. But sometimes you might want to make a separate head and fix that on. Right, so then you want to get So it's not too thick, because if it's very thick, the clay, it can sometimes be damaged in the kiln. You want to make an indentation in it at the back. Now, if the younger ones just do something flat, rather like that tortoise, or even cut something out, I've got a dinosaur shaped cutter, or a very simple shape, and then just push clay into it, then you don't need to have the indentation on the back. So if you can see that, I think I've said on the instructions that you can actually put a piece of cork in it or something, but just to or a little roll of paper. That's something else, and you can leave the paper in if you put paper in it, because that will burn it away in the firing. I'm not sure about the cork, I haven't tried that. So start with the main shape and model it. And I've got one got more prepared earlier, and here's the main shape. There he is. And I've made some rolls of clay. So I just rolled some clay out like that, and then that's going to make the legs. So that's going to make 4 legs, cutting it in half and cutting the other one in half, and that's going to make the four legs. Now, when you're attaching something, you do want to make sure it's going to stick on. So it's quite a good idea to, either with a sponge, dab it, just work a little bit of water to make the clay sort of soggy, rough up the surface, and you can do that with a pencil. This is for putting the 4 legs on. And then that's 1 leg, 2 legs, 3 legs, 4 legs. So here we have the hippopotamus. Now, it's a good idea if you happen to have a modelling tool or a rounded knife, something like that, you can actually work the clay from one part to the other, and then that makes sure that they stay on. If you just put them on and don't do this, they sometimes fall off. If you've got modelling tools, I've purposely not used modelling tools because I'm assuming you may not have them, and I only want to use things that you're likely to have in the house. But if you've got modelling tools, then that's wonderful. Right, so there's the hippopotamus on its legs. There he is. And I'm working on a little old tile, but just any little piece of cardboard would be fine. Now then, you want to put the ears on. You can pinch ears when you're modelling it. I'll show you with this one. You can actually pinch little ears out, and if you're doing something like a cat, they've got little pointed ears, then that's probably quite a good idea. But this one, I'm going to actually put the little ears on. Again, we'll put a little bit of extra water on, make it so that they stick, because I have to say that children's work, very often the bits fall off. So try and make yours so that the bits don't fall off. And then you can use a pencil or something else you can think to make the eyes and the nose like that. And you can see he's becoming more of a more like a, oh, the mouth, mustn't forget the nice smiley mouth. Sometimes if you can just cut a mouth with a knife, and that makes the mouth open, and then just smooth it all over. Now, if you're making an animal that's got fur, an old broken comb is a good idea, and you can make fur all over it, but hippopotamuses don't have fur, but I'm going to make him with fur just so that you can see how to make a furry animal. So there you are, you can see the texture of the fur. And that's more or less it. If you've put a cork in, somehow you've got to fish it out, and that's why I've changed my mind about putting cork in, and I think paper's better. And but make sure that you don't trap any air inside. You've got to be able to have the air's got to be able to get out of it. And then just spend a little bit of time just finishing it off nicely until your animal is just how you want it. So I'm sure God, well, actually it says he made them in a day, but God's God, and but I'm sure you can spend some time getting it really smooth and nice. And as I say, you don't have to make a real creature. You can make something that is a made-up one, and that will probably be a bit easier, especially for you boys. I think boys like doing made-up ones, whereas girls tend to like to do something more naturalistic. Just going back to the cutters, I've got a bird cutter here. There's all sorts of cutters one can get, but if you haven't got them in, you might find you have a Play-Doh set, and that you can use it for that. Right, so there's the pictures again. And as I say, I'll put that with the clay. Or if you find clay a bit messy, use Play-Doh instead. So have fun, and I'll hopefully see you in a month or something.